How's it going, Kittanning? Welcome back to the Greatest City in the World podcast. I'm here today with a special guest. This is my friend Ozzy. I met him last week. He's here with NCCC. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get into the organization and what you're doing in Kittanning.
Yeah, first, well, thank you, Andrew. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
This is really a pleasure for myself, and I hope it is for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Ozzy Wood. I'm a team leader for an organization called Americorps NCCC. There are many different programs and initiatives run by the organization Americorps, and I am in NCCC, which stands for the National Civilian Community Corps. Basically, a little bit more about me. I'm a mathematician. I graduated with a degree in math a couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Applied math. I'm a mathematician, also a jazz musician, a lover of mountains and running and various other trades and hobbies. So
Very cool. How old are you?
I'm 23.
So you're like a 23-year-old Renaissance man.
I suppose so.
That's amazing.
I think that might be overstating my credentials, but yeah, I like to think that I dabble in a lot of different things. So.
I love it. Well, that's super cool. So tell me a little bit more about NCCC. I think it's a really neat program, and specifically, I'm thinking about like the youth of Kittanning that are growing up, that are not quite sure what they want to do with their lives after high school. Maybe they're going to go into a trade, or they feel like they should go to college. But I think Americorps is a really neat option. So tell me a little bit about NCCC and what you've been doing over the last several months.
Absolutely, yeah. So NCCC is a really interesting and innovative program. It's been around since the 90s, and basically it is you load up in a 15-passenger van with between 6 and 10 other fellow volunteers aged 18 to 24. And you travel the country, and you will only stay in one place for about a month, maybe 2 months. So I think it's usually in the 6 to 9 weeks period, and you just perform acts of service while, all the while gaining these transformative life values such as, teamwork, patience, a hard work ethic, other such stuff that is going to stick with you through life. So not only are you gaining this very practical professional experience, such as, amateur carpentry. We're here with Habitat for Humanity right now, but we've helped out at a mega vaccine clinic in the era of COVID, over in Newark, New Jersey, which was a really niche opportunity.
Yeah. So yeah, I know you guys. They'll have different planned things. Like right now, you're in Kittanning. This was very much planned. You guys were coming here for a specific purpose to help out Habitat. And then my understanding is if a natural disaster would happen tomorrow, like a Hurricane Katrina style event, they would be sending you guys down there probably.
That is definitely true. There's this often pesky but honestly very noble clause at the bottom of all of the contracts that we signed, which basically says at any point, for any reason, you could be pulled in response to a disaster. So there is always that option that, if a disaster strikes, say wildfire, hurricanes, tornadoes, and there's a lot of cleanup that needs to happen, or a lot of dissemination of resources to impacted or underserved communities, then we'll be mobilized out to those areas, and we'll help in those ways as well. So.
Yeah, it has to be extraordinarily rewarding. I mean, you're going to all these different places. You're basically you're spending a year just doing good work.
That's right.
So what made you want to get involved with that? Or how did you find out about it in the first place? I guess let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, gosh, I found out about it through a friend, actually. So for a long time, I was in the pipeline to join the United States Navy, and I was going to be a pilot there, and I was really excited about that life path. And then COVID struck, delayed my process a little bit, and I think like a lot of people that kind of got forced inside, it caused me to reevaluate, kind of look at the trajectory of my life and think, is this really the step forward that I want to be making? I'll tell you something about being a Navy pilot. It's a 10-year commitment.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at that and I was thinking, ooh, that is my 20s and an okay, decent chunk of my 30s that I'm going to be devoting towards piloting for the Navy. And I thought, I feel the call to service. I'm really motivated to make a positive impact in the ways that I look around me. Surely there's other ways that I can make maybe a more constructive a more constructive effort here in American communities.
Yeah.
And so after talking, life values and philosophies with some of my friends and talking about how I was looking for these opportunities, just one of my friends happened to know about Americorps and told me, oh, well, have you thought about Americorps? And I said, Americorps, what's that?
Yeah.
And she said, well, honestly, it's this well under advertised organization that does exactly the kind of thing that you're looking for. So I looked into it. I watched some videos on YouTube about it, and I read through some pages online, and lo and behold, it was pretty much a perfect fit for me. So I applied immediately, and the interview process was underway. And as soon as I got accepted, I don't think I've ever jumped onto an accept invitation button as quickly as I did. I got the email. It was like, congratulations, please let us know within 3 days. And I was like, 3 days? Try 3 minutes. I'll let you know right now. Yes.
Fantastic.
Of course I'm coming. So
that's awesome. So is it a 1-year commitment? I can't remember.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So for team leaders, it's about a 10-month commitment. So I began my service this year, 2021, on January 5th, and my last day of service will be November 18th. So for those counting at home, that's about 10 and a half months.
Okay.
I hope. Being a mathematician, I hope that checks out. But
is that like a hard end, or do you have opportunities that you can continue on?
That is a hard end. So
Okay.
so the end of the service term is November 18th, and November 19th we all demobilize. I think as team leader, I actually get the privilege of driving back to lovely Vinton, Iowa, to return the team van and a lot of the team supplies. So
Okay.
yeah, and then of course we'll demobilize after that. But
Very cool.
Mhm.
So I know in Kittanning, I'm familiar with what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the people watching this, what are you doing in Kittanning? What are you hoping to accomplish in your 1 month here?
yeah. Well, gosh, a month is just not enough time.
Amen.
It's
I wish you could stay a lot longer than that.
I know, yeah, and believe me, so do we. First off, I mean, the people have been wonderfully hospitable. Coming from Newark, New Jersey, I mean, those people were great, but as soon as they get behind the wheel of a car, they suddenly become not so great. So, no, it's been a really nice time. It didn't take long for us to really fall in love with the humble town of Kittanning. Right now, we are working with the Habitat for Humanity Armstrong County branch.
Yeah.
And we are performing some pretty significant renovations on several of their interior housing spaces. So already, I mean, we're, a week and a half into it, and already we have, ripped out flooring, and we've put in 3 different types of flooring as well. A lot with flooring, as it turns out. Yeah, we've done tile, laminate, and linoleum, and let's see, We've taken up carpet and taken up tack strips. We've been painting the interior of some homes, like windowsills and even doorways and fireplaces and stuff like that. So that's really been a treasure to get those, like, just very hands-on experience, never a dull moment, and there's plenty variety of tasks, whether you're mixing the mortar or the grout or you're the one actually laying down the tile. I mean, you really get to see how a team effort, everybody doing their own tasks, comes together to complete like this larger whole.
Yeah.
This past Saturday, we actually had the splendid opportunity of assisting with the Rock the Block event that occurred here in the Wick City, is a subdivision, I guess, of Kittanning.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was really special. A lot of profound service projects all over the town taking place simultaneously, and you could watch in real time the city transform into something more beautiful than it was before. So,
right. Yeah, I love Rock the Block because it's like in 8 hours, you can literally feel a tangible difference in the community. Yeah. And we had for that day 25 potential projects. And out of those, like 11 of them are completely done. 9 of them are like, I would say 90% done in aggregate. So you think about 20 different projects happening in a day. That would be a whole summer's worth of volunteering for our entire church.
Right.
And that happened in like 6 hours.
Right. I think I would not shy away from saying that is the most impressive, like, single community service event that I have ever seen in my life. I mean, it was really an entire community coming together, and just my team alone. I mean, we were building decks, planting flower beds, we were demolishing an old shed, we were painting an exterior staircase, What else did we do? It's so many things. Just boom, boom, boom. One right after the other.
Well, it was really cool because you guys came at the perfect time. I don't
Yeah.
think when we originally set the date, we knew you were even going to be here.
Right.
And so, and then the director for Habitat, he was down from
Right.
his surgery.
Right.
And so then we had 7 leaders come in who have
Yeah.
been getting this practical leadership experience. And you guys were, I think, integral to the success of that day. So
Yeah.
appreciate you guys.
Well, it was our pleasure. It really was. It was great fun.
Yeah. So you're going to continue to work on houses. I know you're continuing to probably do some of the mop up from Rock the Block, cleaning up those last few projects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And is that where you were today? I know you said you were doing a dumpster.
Today. Oh yeah.
Were you
yeah.
emptying that big shed?
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as part of the demolishing of that shed that I was talking about. Well underway of demolishing that shed, we found out it was not a shed. It was actually a very old house, a very lived-in house that had just been kind of left with all its interior,
Really?
stuff inside.
Wow.
It was crazy, and so I mean, we demoed at least like well over 3/4 of that shed. I would say we didn't quite get to the end of it by the end of the day. And we didn't get to the end because we had loaded up our entire Habitat box truck with just debris, mostly boards with very hazardous nails sticking out of it. And
Right.
so it was our job this morning to rush over to the dump and safely get that truck emptied so that it was usable to finish the job up there. So.
Well, if you guys haven't seen the video of that day, I'll put a link in the description here so you can check it out. So you're in Kittanning. You came from Newark, so you're in a big city,
Right.
and then you come to a very small town.
Pretty small, yeah.
What do you think? I mean, how's that transition go? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up actually in a town of about 20,000 individuals in Waynesboro, Virginia, which is about 30 miles west of Charlottesville, if you've ever heard of Charlottesville.
Yeah, so that feels like mid-sized city.
Yeah.
So
mid-size.
So what do you think of Newark and Kittanning, and like
It's kind of interesting.
contrast the two for me?
So I should also say, before we were in Newark, we were in this tiny town called Dunseith, North Dakota.
Okay.
Which actually sits up on the border of North Dakota and Manitoba, Canada, above it. And we were painting some interior summer camp dorm room spaces actually for a music camp that comes through every year.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. That town I think had about 750 residents.
Okay.
Which is smaller than my high school.
Yeah.
So it was, so we're getting whiplashed pretty good, I would say, by kind of the cultural differences and the shift in tone and change of pace. I will say probably the most interesting thing that I have noticed between the projects we've experienced in Newark and Kittanning is that in Newark we were working at a mega vaccine facility where that had a capacity of churning out 6,000 to 7,000 vaccines in a single day.
Wow.
And it was starting to downsize because less people were rolling through. It on an average day, probably 250 to 500 people were coming through.
Okay.
So many days we spent, relatively redundant to the efforts that were going on there, which is why we got pulled a little bit early so that our potential could be fully utilized. Here, where there's just frankly a little bit more work to go around.
Sure.
So we have this double whiplash of being in a really giant, densely populated area with a relatively low workload
Yeah.
to going to this very small town with so much to do. like at this Rock the Block event, everybody and their neighbor was asking, "Hey, can you come paint our deck? Can you come do this other thing?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity for service," and this community is one that's used to coming together to help each other out. So, it's been very interesting. Kind of grappling with that double change of pace.
I'm sure, yeah, and what I'm glad to hear that Kittanning's been welcoming to you. I know I am certainly appreciative of everything that you guys are doing here. Yeah. You're not our first NCCC crew either. I mean, this is I think this is the second or third, but I remember the last group. They were here finishing houses and doing that kind of stuff, and it's like every single person that I've ever met that's been involved with Americorps seems to have a really solid head on their shoulders. Like, I think you guys are, you to go into it, you almost have to be service minded in some aspect.
That's right.
But I'm assuming the program, do you feel like it kind of rounds you out?
I would I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it definitely presents its own set of unique challenges
Mm-hmm.
and like obstacles to overcome, and so a lot of your time in Americorps is spent kind of adapting to those challenges and learning how to overcome them.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting group. We're incredibly diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We come from all different corners of the country, from California to Maine to Florida to
Wow.
Texas. I mean, we're literally like just this team of 7 individuals is coming from all over the place, all different races and socioeconomic statuses, different levels of college experience. We have somebody who hasn't gone to college, doesn't care to. We have somebody who hasn't gone to college and is kind of giving it side eye, like, ooh, maybe someday, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
We have 2 people who are in the middle of their college, and we have 3 college graduates. So it's like
Wow.
at all stages of life, we're coming into this with all different sorts of perspectives, whether it be politics, spirituality, and just different worldviews.
Yeah.
And so, despite all that diversity, despite all that difference that I guess you could say kind of separates us, or at least makes us interesting to each other,
Yeah.
there's the striking unity that comes in 2 pieces. The first piece is we are all incredibly service motivated. So, in order to opt into this organization where you load up with a ragtag band of brothers and sisters into this 15-passenger van and travel the country for an entire year doing some pretty intense service projects for basically no pay. We do receive a living stipend, but it's really just designed to cover the essentials. So we're considered volunteers
Right.
because of our low stipend. It takes a certain type of person to look at that and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm interested. Okay, yeah, sign me up. That sounds great." So I mean, we all are united in that sense that we feel that call to service and that mission to promote the goodness and the flourishing of our fellow people that we see around us, and to uplift communities that are underserved, or that just have a lot of progress ahead of them.
Right.
The second thing that unites us is that we are all in an interesting period of transition in our lives. So like I said, we're all coming from different places, looking for different things out of this organization. But one thing that is held constant is that we are taking some time to intentionally further our values of
Mhm.
service, while at the same time very intentionally planning what comes next.
Right.
So Americorps being a 10-month obligation, unlike piloting for the Navy, which is 10 years. 10 months is a little more stomachable. It's a sublime time, honestly, to take that time, reflect what are my values, where is my life going, and how do I want to go forward. So some people who are in the middle of their college, thinking about I'm going to get my associates, what comes next. People just graduated college without a defined direction. It's like, okay, am I going back to college? Am I going into the workforce? Am I going any number of other ways? And for people like me and a couple others on the team, it's like, how am I going to continue answering this call to service? What are my future humanitarian ambitions, and how does Americorps kind of get my foot in the door to these kind of humanitarian efforts?
I love it. I just can't. It's going to be so valuable. I mean, 10 months in the scheme of life, right? It's like a vapor. Like it's so so fast.
That's true.
But the values that you are expanding upon, the experiences that you're having, like all the serving opportunities, the relationships you're building, and I'm even thinking, like, when I bought my first house, I didn't know how to do anything, and so I'm looking on YouTube for like how to install a floor.
Yeah.
And you're learning that now, and you're going to take all these things and like it's going to be applicable literally for the rest of your life.
I think that's the other piece for people that aren't super sure, or at least don't have in super clear focus of what they're trying to do with the next part of their lives. at the same time that AmeriCorps gives you the space to kind of halt and gives you very specific structures and guidelines within which to live, it also gives you a broad range and a variety of new tasks and new skills. Today I drove a box truck for the first time.
Right.
Never knew that I found myself driving down some pretty windy roads, throwing it into second gear, and I was like, not sure I ever expected I'd be doing this. This is kind of interesting. Yeah. So
and at the same time, if you never drove a box truck before, you might have driven it today, and it would have been like you found your life's calling.
Exactly.
Maybe that didn't happen for you, but at the same time, it's like now I know. Now I know what that's like.
That's right. Yeah. So AmeriCorps focuses on 5 main areas. The first, as we already talked about, is disaster response. So at any time, if there's an immediate need for just helping hands in a certain area and wherever in the nation, we could be called out to that area, or it could be planned ahead of time that we would go there.
Sure.
There's 4 other departments though. There's energy conservation, which kind of looks at weatherizing homes and just creating more energy efficient structures for living and the functioning of communities. There's environmental conservation and stewardship. So a lot of that looks like removing invasive species. Really out in the field, or I should say in the woods, clearing trails and that sort of thing.
Yep.
There's infrastructural improvements, which is really looking to prop up communities through making significant improvements into their infrastructure. So a lot of that is working with government organizations, whether it be parks and recreation organizations or just local small town governments to try to improve their infrastructure for serving their community. And then there's urban and rural development, which is what we're working on right now, where we're working with Habitat, and you actually go to people's homes and make it, just a better place to live. So, just alone in that, you can see the wide variety of tasks that you could potentially be assigned to throughout your term in Americorps.
Absolutely. So if there's someone that's like watching this, or they have a child that they think would be interested in something like this, how does one get involved with Americorps and specifically NCCC?
Yeah. The best way is to go to our website. So Americorps.gov, or go to just type in Americorps into Google, or whatever your search engine is probably your best way. So that's AMERICORPS. Pronounced Americorps, though.
Yeah.
That's the first hurdle when you become a member.
Not saying Americorps.
Not saying Americorps. Though some days it'll wear you out and make you feel like an Americorps.
Nice.
No, just kidding.
Well, last question.
Okay.
This is just about you.
Let's go.
What's next for Ozzy? Where do you go after AmeriCorps is over?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I hinted already. I'm very interested in furthering this humanitarian streak that I have in me. I don't know if it's a phase, if it's like just my 20s. Oh, of course he's trying to save the world. But my dad actually has as his ringtone for me, Kumbaya, because I'm always talking about these ways that the world can be. Ways that we can really change the world. One person can make a difference, But I really do believe that, and so next I'm looking into Peace Corps, and I actually have a couple Peace Corps opportunities that are panning out pretty well. So I have my eyes set on a 2-year term of Peace Corps. Americorps, obviously, the experiences that I've gained here make me a much more competitive applicant for that, and indeed many other possible service-based opportunities. So I couldn't be more grateful to have that, as kind of my background going forward. And
Well, I think I think this channel kind of proves your point that it is really possible for one person. You have with the power of social media, with the power of just the different communication aspects that there are now. There used to be kind of gatekeepers. So if you were just one person and you didn't have the right connections, then you wouldn't be able to do anything. But I really believe that with the heart that you guys have for service, you are going to make a difference no matter where you end up. So I'm just pumped you get to be in Kittanning making a difference for 1 month. But I'm really excited for you as a person to see where you go from here. So
I think that's the key too, is to keep you know, even if people don't agree with you, that the difference can be made, or that the difference is even happening, or anything like that. You got to keep that passion. If it's going to happen, that's the only way to do it. You got to keep that passion, that childlike wonder, and just, you know, strive for better. And I definitely see that here in Kittanning, the market improvements that we're making, just because of the mindset shift towards positivity and optimism.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you, talk with you. I know I'm not going to be here for the most of the time that you're here, but I wish you well in your time in Kittanning. Wish you well in the future, and I just hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you want to get involved with Americorps, we'll have that link in the description. And I would love to see some Kittanning kids go out into the world, get all these awesome experiences,
Yes.
and then come back and find a way to bless your hometown. But anything else you want to say?
Hi, Mom.
All right, bless you guys. See you in the next one.
All right, thanks so much, Andrew.